And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Wednesday, February 28th. Man, it's going to be really weird to announce the date tomorrow. Anyway, I'm Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Matt Belman. We're brought to you by Sleeper. 6-game slate ahead of us. This is sort of like the low end of my favorite size slates. Just enough to be unique pretty much everywhere, but you don't have to worry about projecting out 12 games. So I think we'll have some fun. Lots of Q tags, however. We have the opportunity to have a really, really crazy night. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter. Max Strus, new hero of Cleveland.
What a fourth quarter. I heard Brian Windhorst compare it to like the Tracy McGrady when he went off in like that 30 seconds. I don't know if it was quite like that, but that shot at the end, you just don't see stuff like that often. So certainly fun, that's for sure. Man, I heard you say something this morning. I caught some of the show, not all of it, but at one point you said there's a lot of if this, then that on this slate. And that's just what it is. A little bit hard to break down just because there's so much news that could, swing the pendulum, if you will.
It's so much. There's so many trickle down effects for some of these Q tags. So whatever we say here in this spot is going to be a little like, well, take this with a grain of salt until later.
Yeah, I hate that, but that's just the nature of the beast with NBA DFS.
It's unique for a 6-gamer. Like, this is pretty dynamic. I was hoping we had, it's kind of good because we're going to have time for each one of these. Like, basically, it's 1 game, 30-minute break, 1 game, 30-minute break, 2 games, hour, 1 game, hour. So, you're going to have time to make those changes, which won't be too bad, but sometimes I kind of just wish we get it all done right out of the gate.
Yeah, same. It's almost like that. There's something to be said for those Christmas slates where all the games are really spread out. This is kind of a tease in that regard. So I'm with you. I like the sprint slates better like we had last night, but everyone's dealing with the same nonsense. So I guess it doesn't matter.
Well, let's deal with the first game of nonsense right out of the gate. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. 7 p.m. tip-off. Wait, no, that can't be right. This is a 7:30 start? Yeah, I'm dumb. I have the time of this game just 100% wrong in my sheet. 7:30 start. New Orleans Pelicans, Indiana Pacers. Pels are 7-point dogs in Indiana, 237 total. Q-tag Brandon Ingram, Q-tag CJ McCollum, Q-tag Trey Murphy, Q-tag Zion. I don't think the Pelicans are 7-point underdogs in Indy. Somebody's not playing here. Maybe two somebodies. Don't know who that is yet. 12% ownership coming into Zion Williamson. Single digits across the board to the rest of the team. A little bit of positive leverage to everybody because ownership is sort of deflated here. I don't want to say, like, what do you want to do here for the Pels, but let's hypothesize this because on the season, Pels have a plus 4.3 net rating. Pacers are right around neutral. So we're talking about, let's call it 3 points between these teams. Even if you want to give 3 points to Indy for home court, that's neutral. We have 7 more points to give out. Who don't you think is playing?
Smells really, really fishy here. I'm with you. Like, New Orleans is a better team than Indiana. I get it's in Indiana, but the line just screams that multiple guys are going to be out for New Orleans. I don't think CJ plays. I'm not sure he's ready to play yet. If he wasn't ready yesterday, I don't have confidence that he plays today. Certainly he's questionable. He could. And then Ingram, I know, left the game yesterday. I think it's more likely that both of them sit than neither of them sit, but I really have no idea, like, between the two of them. I really couldn't tell you.
And obviously, if you're sitting there thinking, I think everybody plays, you should bet New Orleans right now because that line will not be 7 the moment those injuries are announced. That'll drop to 5 or 4 or 3, depending on, like, if we get everybody, that line is going to drop significantly. So if you're on the side of, I know these guys are going to play, back that up with your money in the betting market because you're going to get a great line if you're right.
It's a back-to-back for New Orleans. So, like, I get it a little bit, but I'm with you. If all those guys are in, this line should be a pick 'em at best for Indiana. So
it's at, look, it's, I know, +2, +3 at the worst.
Sure.
And I think that would be insane. So we're going to move a lot. The problem for us here is, like, if we're talking about Ingram, CJ, and Zion all being questionable, everybody knows what to do here if we start lopping these guys off. If Zion's out, you play a little bit more CJ and Ingram. If McCollum's out, you play a little bit more of the other two guys. If 2 of them are out, the third guy left looks great. Like, everybody knows what we need to do. It's really just the value pieces here. Who do you see? Let's say it doesn't matter who's out. Who do you see as the guys that can take the big jump from we are definitely not playing them to we're probably playing them now?
That's also tricky because Troy Murphy's questionable. So, like, he's questionable and their price tags have started to rise. Like, the secondary pieces, because they've missed guys. Like, Herb Jones is close to 6K. Depending on the New Orleans news, like, if we get all the guys are out or 2 of the big 3, then everyone else in New Orleans becomes in play because they're in a really good spot. They're already missing bodies, especially in the backcourt with Alvarado missing 1 more game and no Dyson Daniels. So this one is kind of the epitome of this slate. Like, it's really, really hard to talk about right now because we don't have the news that is going to make everything we say obsolete in whenever the news comes out.
Yeah. And the worst part of all of this is if and when this news breaks and we get, let's say, 2 of those 4 guys, Ingram, McCollum, Murphy, Zion. If 2 of those 4 guys are out, we're also starting to consolidate minutes in a matchup against the number 26 defense, the number 2 team in pace. Like, this matchup is awesome for what those guys are going to get. This isn't rolling into Orlando for a slow ass game against a good defensive team. You are getting one of, if not the best situations in basketball because Indy keeps up. Their offense is fantastic. So you get a legitimate track meet pretty much every time they're going to be out there. Fascinating spot to look at for the Pels. I just don't know how much context you and I can add for this.
I don't think we can. Like, this is one where it's not just one guy is questionable and we can kind of play off if he does or doesn't play. All 3 of their main guys are legitimately questionable with, maybe their 4th, probably J-Bell still their 4th guy, but at their price points and positionality, Murphy would probably get more love than Joe Bell anyways.
The one thing I do want to say, if they're all in, most of these guys are, like, relatively uninteresting. I think Zion's the best thing you can get to, and I think that's why you see him at 12% ownership. But, like, I'm not super interested in the Pels if they run out of full strength team today.
Same. Their GPP plays because they're in a great spot. So, like, I wouldn't fault anyone for liking them. I'm sure you feel the exact same way, but not a priority. And I'm interested to see what happens to point Zion with McCollum back specifically.
It's probably going to go away at least a little bit.
You'd have to think.
Yeah. But yeah, like obviously you can always play CJ, Zion, Ingram. If these guys are in, they're fine plays, but they're not going to be anywhere near that top of the ownership table. This is just not that kind of spot today.
No, their prices have risen a little bit, and if they're all in, they don't stand out at all. I'm with you.
Yep. All right. Indy side, little bit different. We know that Doug McDermott is out. Aaron Nesmith is questionable. That's the only thing that we're sort of waiting on here. And we've had Nesmith out for so long. Well, not for so long, but like he's been out enough regularly that we know what we're doing if he ends up being out. But if he's in, 7% ownership to Miles Turner is the high mark. 9.5% optimal to Miles Turner is the high mark. So we're talking single digits for both sides of Indy as well. And I don't think that really changed. Like, it's not going to look better for Indy no matter how that news breaks, because I think the line is already taking that into account. So they're not going to suddenly be 10-point favorites if this breaks the wrong way. I'm not like super fond of anything here, but I do think Miles Turner looks the best.
I don't love anything here either. I wrote up Halliburton again today. He's been like a staple in my contrarian article because he's not getting a lot of love. So I get that, but it's really hard to play him at 9,500 right now, given some of the other options we have on this slate. So I understand why the ownership's low. Always interesting as a contrarian pivot, especially if New Orleans is missing more bodies, then it makes me like the Pacers a little bit more. But there's a lot of good plays on this slate, potentially a lot of great plays on this slate. I don't want Indiana, and I don't want Indiana taking up roster spots when I'm waiting for news.
Yeah, I'm not anticipating having a ton here. Like, I certainly have no issue getting to Tyrese Halliburton. I have no issue getting to Pascal Siakam, but I look at these guys. I think Turner looks the best of anybody I see on either side. A little bit better than Zion, but you kind of like lose it for the position. But I think these guys just look a lot like the New Orleans side if everybody's in. Like, they're good, not great plays.
Agreed.
I don't like talking about this game like that, where it's just like, it's fine. I'm still running my final crunch to see if I have any sort of stands in this game. I don't anticipate any situations where I have a lot. There'll be whatever I do have where I'm like 2 or 3x the field on some of these guys. They're going to just be like my GPP highlights. And when I get it, I'll circle back. But I don't have anything else here for Indy either.
No, there's two main teams on this slate that we just don't know the news yet, and it's going to change everything. New Orleans and Minnesota.
By the way, Aaron Nesmith, 23% owned on FanDuel right now. So if he ends up in, that is the overwhelming chalk play coming from the Pacers on the FanDuel side. 5,100 small forward, power forward, $300 cheaper than he is on DraftKings.
Any interest in Mathurin on DraftKings?
Only if Nesmith is out. I think that just takes like a little bit of a bite out of the ceiling of his minutes if Nesmith is back. Doesn't have to, but it certainly increases I don't totally know for sure if he's going to get to like 30. I like the shooting guard small forward eligibility. The matchup's totally fine, but I think we need to see Nesmith leave the rotation as an injury for us to like really want to get there. Do you have your eye on him?
I agree. I don't even think you can look at him unless Nesmith's out. And even if Nesmith is out, like he's a fringe play for me. I just didn't know if I was missing something based on, I know he's played well recently, and I don't care too much about that personally.
Yeah. All right. I just got done my run, so might as well just dump this file into my workbook and figure out what I have. No reason to continue if I can just look at this in 2 seconds. So 150 lineups today since we have the $4 on DraftKings. So I assume a lot of people are pretty happy about that one, at least. Me, less so. But we'll take what we can get. All right. I have 4% of Miles Turner. That's the highest amount I have of anybody on the Pacers. And if everybody is in for the Pels, okay, I did get to a pretty solid amount of Zion, actually. I 2x that 12% ownership. So it does appear if we get everybody from the Pels and ownership doesn't move too much, Zion is the guy I like the most in this game. I don't hate saying that out loud.
I think he's the guy also. I think that right now, this pecking order changes. I feel like however so often with Zion and Ingram. Right now, it seems like Zion's the guy.
Agreed. Schedule for the rest of the day. Very simple, folks. You got to hit that like button so that you can see NBA Live before lock. That show comes up immediately after this at 6:30 p.m. They will take you all the way until 7:30. But we don't stop there. At that moment, we're already live on playback. We are exclusively live on playback at 7:30. I'll be hopping on with Greg, talking basketball, talking news for the 8 o'clock starts, talking news for any games that pop up later. Talk some in-game betting, prize picks, cards. Might talk a little futures NBA finals matchups. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But we definitely want you to join us on Playback. Go to playback.tv/stochastic. We have VIP passes that we can give out so that you can watch the game along with us. We have League Pass pulled up. If you already have League Pass, great. You can watch the exact same stream that we're watching live in real time. You hear us say something, you're in chat a tenth of a second later. No delay like we have on YouTube. So we want you to join us on Playback. Plenty of giveaways that we can do. Maybe somebody's going to get a lineup generator sub. Maybe we do something bigger one of these days. Going to be a lot to give out. Also, speaking of lineup generator, if you're a fan of the lineup generator, if you've used it before, or if you've never used it and you were looking for a deal, Lineup Generator All Access is now available. $79.95 for a month. That gives you Lineup Generator access to everything we have a lineup generator for. You could lock players, swap players, export up to 20 via CSV. We generate thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of lineups on the back end. We cull that list. We get rid of the lineups that aren't very good. We present the rest to you. Click save if you like it. Click discard if you don't. Very mobile friendly. To me, this is the best way to get behind the paywall at Stochastic and get an idea of what we're doing here. Certainly gets you into our premium Discord, so come join us there. But again, Lineup Generator All Access. If you only want an individual sport, those packages exist too for a week and a month. But we just now released Lineup Generator All Access, if that's interesting. Dallas Mavericks, 3.5-point favorites in Toronto, 241 total. Not too much going on for Dallas. I thought they could have been a little weirder today. They ended up being pretty tame. We've got probable tags on Luka. Dante Exum is probable. I would really like to see him just be healthy for a while. Derek Lively is probable. And I thought we were going to be able to talk about how Daniel Gafford just basically stopped playing yesterday and didn't get any minutes in the second half. However, Maxi Kleber is doubtful, so I think Daniel Gafford's going to have to play a little bit more. Not that he matters today, although now that I said that, I'm going to go ahead and assume that he smashes. 13% ownership coming into Luka, 10 coming into Josh Green, single digits across the board for everybody else. Josh Green and Luka both just over 10% in optimal rate. How do you feel about the 12K Luka today?
I was definitely chuckling about your guys' Josh Green combo this morning because I thought the same exact thing. That was hilarious. Luka looks good here. Like, I wrote him up yesterday as the top contrarian stud. He went nuts on Slovenian night in Cleveland. Surprise, surprise. So doesn't have that angle working for him here, but he has the he's Luka Doncic angle. So he's pretty good. In play every slate he's on. The ownership is not really there. Again, he's 13% owned, 12% optimal, so right in line. Similar ownership and similar optimal percentages as Jokic. I think Jokic versus Luka is really interesting tonight because I slightly prefer Jokic, I think, a little bit cheaper. And guard is a very good position here.
Yeah.
Which so is center. And now, especially like with Andre Drummond, I think that Luka versus Jokic is a real combo tonight. I don't think it's a slate to play them both.
No.
You certainly can, but I think your lineups are going to be too funneled. So not for me. I don't think you have to play either of them. I do think they both look good, though. And each of them has the opportunity to just destroy the slate.
I think you can play them both if we get the right news in Toronto, New Orleans, Chicago, Minnesota. Like, there's a path to get it. Even Sacramento, if you start getting the 3K Davion Mitchell today, like, there's a way that we can get to both of them relatively easy. We could end up having this overwhelming amount of value. I just don't think it's going to break like that. I think you kind of got to pick one or the other.
I agree, and I'm not sure it's going to break in time for that either. So I'm with you. It could potentially play out because New Orleans themselves, if all of a sudden, like, all their guys are out on the second half of a back-to-back, then Najee Marshall, et cetera, are going to become locks. So yeah, it could play out like that. But as of now, doesn't look like that for me. I like Luka a lot here. I mean, that's not a hot take. He's always in play. He's averaging an NBA best. He's averaging the most DraftKings points per game of anyone in the league. Surprise, surprise. So any slate that you want to prioritize him, I'm about it. He doesn't stand out to me over the likes of Jokic. And I don't think you have to play either of them, like I said, because there's a lot of good 8 to 10K plays too.
Yeah. What else do you want to do here for Dallas? How do you feel about Kyrie? How do you feel about the ancillary pieces of the Mavs?
Don't love him. Kyrie, I would say, is like behind Luka. Probably closer to Luka, though, than the guys behind Kyrie are. So it's Luka, Kyrie, or bust. Kyrie's expensive is the problem. So
yeah,
9,300 for Kyrie. He's been good, but he hasn't been so good where you need him. With Luka in, I really have a hard time spending full price on Kyrie. If I were going to do it, I'd just get up to Luka.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have much coming in here on the Dallas side. Like scattered amounts of Josh Green, scattered amounts of Luka, a couple lineups with Kyrie, but nothing crazy. I thought this is another team where I thought I would have a little bit more, and then you just start looking at it and it's like, well, this isn't going to be the game where everything looks better.
Definitely not. I will say what I like Dallas as, I guess, if I had to choose something, contrarian pivots off chalky Clippers and similar price points.
It's a good point. Yeah, we'll get to the Clippers later, who are a bit of a problem for today.
A huge problem. I don't even mind I hate that it's the last game. I hate everything about it.
Let's talk Toronto, who's looking pretty good today. We have 19% ownership coming into RJ Barrett, comparable on FanDuel. 13 coming into Scotty Barnes, a little bit higher on FanDuel. Around 10 to Emmanuel Quickly. He's 30 on FanDuel. And then around 10 for Bruce Brown, Gary Trent, Jakob Poeltl. Wow, we're waiting on news on Jakob Poeltl, who's questionable. We also have Chris Boucher questionable, which is at least a little interesting if we lose Jakob Poeltl. If we do get rid of Jakob Poeltl, Kelly Olynyk is going to be quite popular today. What do you like the most from the Raptors?
Is Jonte Porter like no longer a thing? Is he not even in the league anymore?
He's with the G League team.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Not a ton with Toronto. It could break ways where
Jakob Poeltl in.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was seeming like he was gonna play from the reports that I was reading, but who the hell knows? So
2 minutes ago.
That's good to know, at least for right before we talk about this game.
Yeah.
I don't love Toronto here. Like Scotty Barnes is the top piece, but he's over 9K now. Yeah, just not a game that I see myself getting a ton of exposure of. Poeltl probably looks the best to me in terms of price and ownership. Really hard to allocate a center position on him tonight, though.
I don't have much. I thought I would get him because I think he grades out well. My problem right now is RJ Barrett, who I have 30% of, 6,800 shooting guard, small forward. We have him 15% optimal, 19% owned. I also have his under on prize picks today, so that is a bit of a balance. I will happily give up a prize picks card for him to smash if I'm 30% of him. And then I have 25% of Quickly, so it looks like I'm going back to that well once again. We have him 13% optimal, 12% owned. I have 25%. I have 13% of Gary Trent, 13% of Scotty Barnes. I've got an oddly large amount of Toronto, which I didn't exactly see coming.
Yeah, I don't think it's where I'm going to go, but our tools like them. So I don't think they're bad plays. They probably look better than most of the spots we've talked about so far. And I'm sure this will change for you too. I'm kind of in my head thinking about the news that we could potentially get. And I don't think if stuff breaks right, that Toronto is going to look as good as they might right now.
That's a good point. I'm surprised that Bruce Brown's getting as much love as he is. His minutes are so weird. I also don't know why he's on the Raptors and not playing as much. I can't really wrap my head around that one either.
I can't either. He was such a key cog in Denver's championship run last year. And
he's a guy that should only be on contenders.
He seemed to be very sought after in like the free agent market also. I mean, who knows? But bizarre that they didn't just flip him for anything.
Yeah. I mean, they'll have him for next year, like, which is fine. I just would have assumed like he'd be playing more.
Yeah, same. And I think you're right. Like he is much more like he needs to be on a good team.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Anything else for the Toronto side?
No, I do think that I probably discredited them a little bit too much in talking about them. I think they're good plays. Not one guy stands out to me as a guy I have to get to, but I think they're all good plays. The main guys, that is.
Cornell Granville hit us with a super chat, said, do you look at Drummond differently at 5,900? I guess, how do you, I guess the question is, how do you feel about Andre Drummond on FanDuel? He's 44% owned. Assuming he is starting today, he looks fantastic.
He looks great. The tricky part on FanDuel is not the price tag, because it's basically a little bit more expensive than DraftKings, but nothing too substantial. It's that you can only play one center. So if you're playing Drummond, you're not playing the other guys, but he looks like probably the best overall play on the slate still over there.
Yeah.
So
If he's in the starting lineup, I don't think there's anything you could do about it. Like, you're going to have a lot of them, or at least you should. Aaron Nesmith ruled out.
I feel like, and this is the matchup, like, of all matchups, Minnesota and Cleveland, where you're going to start Drummond.
Yep. They did it last time, and if we don't get Alex Caruso, like, they're way more likely to just start Drummond at that point. They start running out of legitimate bodies. So, no Nesmith. Nothing we can really do there, but we can go to Memphis. And thanks for that super chat, Cornell. Memphis Grizzlies, 12-point dogs in Minnesota, 209 total. I'd pay money to remove Memphis from all slates moving forward. I'm just so sick and tired of talking about this garbage. It's like 29 teams in the league plus a G League squad. 38% ownership coming into Jordan Goodwin because John Conchar is doubtful, and now Luke Kennard is out with an illness. I don't know if they have the same groupies and everybody's just passing them around or what, but illness running through the NBA right now. 8% ownership to Vince Williams, 8% ownership to Gigi Jackson, 10 to Jaren Jackson. Goodwin, by the way, 48% owned on FanDuel. Let's start with Goodwin. Assuming he starts at point guard, how do you feel about him?
I like him because he's 4K, but he's one where I would not mind not playing him with that ownership, like in higher stake stuff, because 40% home, like, our tools don't like him nearly that much. And with other value potentially likely to come out, like, I get it. He's 4K, so I don't think he's a bad play. And all of a sudden, if he gives you like 30 plus, you're like, damn, I need him. But Memphis is the black hole of NBA DFS right now. I'm with you. On any slate they're on, I hope I don't get any of them. Like, I get it. It's a salary game, so you can't just look at it like that. But
yeah,
to say I like any of these guys would be not true. Goodwin, probably my favorite because of the price point. Aldama's price is falling also.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Goodwin looks really good, and I'm sure you're about to tell me you're getting to Jaren Jackson.
I only have 10%, oddly enough. 7,700 power forward center. Yeah. I wish I were getting more. It's a terrible spot for him.
It's a terrible spot, and our tools are usually, like, he's been consistently like top 10 in the boom bust tool. He's like 20th today.
Yeah. So I'm right. I'm neutral. I'm getting to Vince Williams, oddly enough. Shooting guard, small forward. I don't love the price tag at 6,300, and the matchup is death, but lightly owned for a guy that, like, if this game can even sniff competitive, he's playing 34 or 35 minutes. Like, he's the most minutes on the team type dude every single night. So he's the kind of guy that I'm happy to get to if he's going to be relatively low owned at this point.
Yeah, I'm with that. I've seen no problem with him. I'm not excited about playing Vince Williams.
I definitely like him more in a 100,000 person contest than a 25,000 person contest too.
100% same. Yeah, and I mean, like, if Memphis is competitive in this game, then, at least a couple of their starters are likely to play well. Although this is such a horrendous spot for them. I hate Memphis here.
I also have 14% of Gigi Jackson, which I don't hate. That's fine by me. I mean, he's certainly going to look for his own when he's out there. 4,700 power forward eligible. Like, somebody will probably be decent for Memphis. I've got a little bit of those guys. I don't have much of anything else here. Assuming we get Goodwin starting at point, we should feel pretty good.
The guy I was looking at this morning, I don't think it's actionable at this point, especially if you get more news. Your boy, Lamar Stevens.
4,300 power forward center. I don't have any. I wouldn't mind having some, but as of right now, I don't have any.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt I'd play him, but just wanted to shout him out.
I'd get him at 3K if he was 3K again.
Would look a lot different.
I got nothing else here. So then we go to Minnesota, which is definitely a complicated mess. We ended up getting Cat, not even on the injury report. He's just back. Friend of kid that he played with in high school passed away, so that's why he was gone yesterday. Anthony Edwards questionable, rolled his ankle in yesterday's game, was able to come back, and then Rudy Gobert is questionable. He was questionable coming into yesterday's game, played big minutes. I would be shocked if he plays today because it just seems like why the hell do you need to play him against Memphis, especially if Towns is back? Like just rest the ankle on the back-to-back, but I don't have a great feel. What do you think Minnesota's going to do here?
I don't know. I guess my only counterpoint to that Gobert take, and I agree with you, is, and I don't know his status and how many missed games or anything. Like, does that affect him at all? Like the 65 games in terms of
I don't think so. He's barely missed, if I remember correctly.
Okay, well then that isn't really anything to take into consideration.
He's played 56 of 58 games right now.
Okay,
so he would have
fine.
to miss. He would have to miss like the season to be in a real problem. So
they're fine holding him out one game. No doubt about that. Now will they do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think your point is logical though. If he's out, I mean, with Kyle Anderson already out, Towns looks really good here. I'm skeptical of Edwards playing, which I'm usually not because he's a guy that plays through everything. But again, easy spot, back to back. Hurt his ankle yesterday. I don't know.
I hope he plays. I have 25% at this reduced ownership rate right now. 8,900 shooting guard, small forward, fantastic matchup. So I'd like to see him out there. If he isn't, though, that really just it becomes get yourself quite a bit of Karl Anthony Towns season. And then there's like not a lot of guys that like looking for their own shot on this team if this breaks the right way. And then we're going to start getting like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And we're going to start. I mean, I'm getting a little bit of Jaden McDaniels because I always do. I hate it. That dude fails miserably for me on a regular basis. Like Monty Morris played massive minutes yesterday. If we happen to lose both dudes, does he get up into like the 20s because he's 3,300? That could be another value piece. I mean, Gobert's 15% owned. Right now, Rudy Gobert is the highest owned guy on this team.
Yeah, Gobert looks great in the tools too. And I'm with you on McDaniels. Like, not ever a guy I'm excited about playing, but he's so cheap. The more guys you have out also, like the more he is going to look for his own shot, you'd think.
This dude has 15% own or usage when he plays alongside of like everybody else that's good on the team. I feel like this dude like never has shot attempts. I don't know where that usage comes from. It must just be like he does it one game and then the next four he gives it all away. Because I don't feel like he ever succeeds, and I roster him pretty regularly. When I pull his rates, I always just assume that I'm wrong. And then it's just like, nope, that's what it says. 15% usage right there. If I put that in, it's like, well, I'm going to get him today. He doesn't ever play at that rate to me.
That's fair. I have players like that too. But man, the other point, like I made about Dallas, like he's even cheaper than the Clippers guys, getting less ownership, and he's going to play a ton. So I think McDaniels is definitely in play here. And the more guys that are out, the more I like him.
The easiest way to describe Minnesota right now is 10% ownership, essentially, to Edwards, McDaniels, Towns, Conley, Morris, and Gobert. The little bit coming into Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That's with everybody in. We lose one of Edwards and Gobert, those numbers go up significantly across the board. And we're probably then working in like Naz Reid, depending on which one of them is out. If Anthony Edwards is out, fire up your Karl Anthony Towns. But Minnesota looks good because they play Memphis, which is weird because Memphis is actually decent defensively and plays kind of slow, but they also have a 98.5 implied total right now, which is embarrassing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think Minnesota looks good. Just a matter of who looks good. We don't know yet.
Anything else for Minnesota?
Mm-mm.
Alrighty, we are at the halfway point, folks. Hit that like button if you want to watch NBA Live before lock after this. You don't want to get the old black screen of death. You want to be able to watch these guys give you all the news up until 7:30. So hit that. There's 2,100 of you in here. We should have 2,100 likes. Everyone should want to hit that button. You should also want to sign up at Sleeper if you're trying to beat the pick'em sites. Start here, up to $500 on your first deposit. Incredible bonus. Even if you only have $200, you'll get a $200 bonus. But try to grab as much of that free money as you can. Build the biggest bankroll, then figure out where you want to be. You can get 100x payouts at Sleeper because they have dynamic payouts. They can put multipliers on some of these picks. So if there's heavy juice on one side of them, you're just going to get a bigger multiplier going to one of the sides. That's how you can get up to 100x. These multipliers are unique to Sleeper, so you don't want to sleep on that kind of stuff. They've run free squares every single day. I think it's Anthony Davis today. I remember seeing that this morning, but even if it's not, use those free squares a lot. You are not going to get rich from using free squares. It is going to help offset the costs of rake when you're playing at these sites because you're just going to be more likely to win whatever you put together on that particular day. So use the free squares. Take advantage of the deposit bonus. Use Odds Shopper if you're looking for more plays on Sleeper or at the sports books. Click the link in the description or the one that pops up in chat. That's what you want to do. Sign up at Sleeper, get the plays, make the money. Cleveland Cavaliers, fresh off the back-to-back 60-foot game winner from Max Strus. Wild stuff. They are 5.5-point favorites in Chicago, 216 total. Cleveland's pretty easy. Everybody that's normally in is in. They're also getting no love whatsoever. I did not anticipate Karis LeVert being the highest owned Cleveland Cavalier at 9%. Single-digit ownership to everyone. Just over 10% optimal rate to Karis LeVert. Now, Karis LeVert is not the first guy that I'm looking at for Cleveland. That's either going to be Jared Allen or Donovan Mitchell. But he is the guy that I have the most of with 3%. Very difficult for me to get to Cleveland right now. I am cheering for Darius Garland, who I took the over on Prize Picks.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Cleveland looks bad here, considering their pricing, their health. Matchup's not great. Cleveland's a pretty easy skip for me for someone that's not playing a ton of lineups.
I'm surprised Jared Allen's not getting more love. Like, he looked more interesting yesterday at essentially the same price tag.
I think it's just the center position. Like, with Drummond getting so much love, it's just hard to allocate that spot on Jared Allen. He's falling into the same boat as Podol.
Is he like the sneakiest play today?
I don't know about all that. I do think
This
that
is a 6-game slate, and Jared Allen's 5% owned against a double big team where he might get the Vooch side of it.
That's fair. I mean, I don't hate Jared Allen. I don't think he's like the sneakiest play, but I think that it makes your reasoning make sense. Like, I'm not going to say he can't be the sneakiest play. He's just not that for me, but really low owned, big upside. And just because it's not a good spot for most of the Cavs, a guy like Allen, like, he can do well in funky game scripts where there's missed shots, slow tempo, etc.
Same situation for me for Donovan Mitchell at 9,400, like 4% owned. Obviously, Luka and Jokic are like the overwhelming likelihood of being the highest scorers on this slate, but I mean, Donovan Mitchell can easily hang a number at 4% ownership that makes you need to have him to try to beat another 100,000 people. I love him in this large field kind of stuff. And if there's no Caruso, even better.
I'm with that. Like, he's the guy that, again, the $4, 100 and whatever, 1,000 people, massive upside, not getting any love. I don't think it's actionable for me to play him here, just considering the other options we have, but it's Donovan Mitchell. Like, he's always in play.
Weird team today, but Chicago plays at the 28th fastest pace. They're oddly decent at defense. Like, for what they are, they're 18th. They're like middle of the pack, but you wouldn't expect it. So the Chicago side, though, a little bit more confusing. Let's just start with the elephant in the room, and that is Andre Drummond, who everybody seems to be assuming is starting. I have that same assumption. He is 50% optimal, 58% owned on DK, 44 on FanDuel. I have 93%. He's my second favorite play because Norm Powell's on this slate, but I find it very easy going to Andre Drummond if he's in the starting lineup.
I wrote about him a couple days ago. I can't exactly remember when, and I was thinking about it. taking out the guys that are like, really expensive because they're obviously the best players in the league. Has there ever been like a more proven DFS commodity where like, if he plays, he's going to be productive? Like the times that Drummond gets good minutes and isn't productive are so few and far between when he's priced like this. Easy play for me, presuming he's starting. He's too cheap. His price tag is falling. And he's still coming in, at least he was earlier, with like leverage. So, I mean, who knows what his ownership really comes out as? I'm not playing him because of the leverage, obviously, but it's a nice feather in his cap, I guess.
Let's look at everybody else then, because I think the Caruso news is massive for this team. He's the only guy with a Q tag. He plays like 30 minutes a night. If he's out, he's unlocking Dalen Terry, Javon Carter, Julian Phillips. One of those dudes is going to suddenly look a lot better. What do you want to do with the rest of these guys right now, though? Dosunmu, Kobe White, DeRozan, and Vooch.
Dosunmu looks decent. I know he's been productive. I don't really like the Bulls, though. Not a good spot against Cleveland. They're uber inconsistent. The guys you mentioned in that first grouping, like Dalen Terry, these guys are awful from a fantasy perspective. And I get it. They're cheap. I just think we're gonna have other spots with better value. So the Bulls are a pass for me here.
I don't have much. Like I'm a little bit like I have 15% of Dosunmu. He's 10% owned. I'm right around the field on DeRozan, right around the field on Kobe White. I'm under on Vooch, which I'm cool with. So I assume today's the day that he goes crazy with Chalk Drummond out there. Who do you think benefits the most? Actually, let's do the question this way. Who do you think? Yeah, no. Who do you think benefits the most if Caruso's out?
Probably Dalen Terry, but I don't even think it matters that much because he's so bad from a fantasy perspective. And it's not like Caruso is eating up a ton of usage,
I kind of feel like it might be Javon Carter because of the backcourt for Cleveland.
Yeah,
that's the tricky part, though.
Defensively, too.
Yeah, like I don't know if they lean that direction because of Garland and Mitchell, whereas Dalen Terry is more of a size play, which also works, I guess, in this kind of scenario. But either way, 3,300 small forward for Dalen Terry, 3,400 point guard, shooting guard for Javon Carter. And then so we don't skip it. I don't know much about Julian Phillips, but he is the flat 3K small forward, power forward, and does play from time to time. So there's also Terry Taylor potentially. Like somebody ends up looking decent as a value option if we lose Caruso. I just don't know who the hell it is.
Yeah. God, who is the guy you mentioned that you liked that stood out? That you just said, just like skip my
Javon Carter?
Javon Carter. The shooting guard eligibility could be huge for him there. Like if he happens to start, if Caruso is out, and you're right, this is a matchup for him to play in. So I think that could become vital on the slate with that shooting guard eligibility because shooting guard is always pretty weak. That said, Terrence Mann is there too. So I don't know.
Yeah, it just feels like Caruso is going to be out and it's just going to be Drummond into the starting lineup. And then we have no idea what they're doing from the bench. And everybody's just like, well, shit, we got to just guess here.
The opposite, though, of what you said about New Orleans. Like the problem with New Orleans is that they're in such a good spot. We don't have to deal with that here with the Bulls, at least.
Here's a question for you. Let's say Caruso's in. Do you think Drummond is starting?
I do, but I don't have any, I'm not sold on that if you have a differing take.
Who's not starting then? Dosunmu?
Is that how they have been doing it? Like when Drummond had started?
I assume it was because I think Caruso was in for the game that they did it. So they did it on the 14th. Dosunmu played 33 minutes. Caruso played 26. Torrey Craig was also still available in that one. Let me see if I can grab that one quickly. That was the 14th.
Man, all of a sudden, if Drummond doesn't start,
So it was White, Drummond, Dosunmu, DeRozan, Vooch. They didn't start Caruso.
So it would be one of Caruso or Dosunmu, presumably Caruso.
Which is going to be it won't really matter because you're not going to play Caruso anyway, but if he's not starting, you got to be wary that he might not even come in the game.
True. Didn't even think about that. I'm just thinking about it as you phrased that. What if Drummond doesn't start? Because the ownership is Like what is going to, that's one where it's so tough. Like, let's say that, he's obviously projected to start across the industry.
Yeah.
If we don't get that news until like right before that game that he's not starting, I still think he's a fine play at 5,200, but I think the ownership will be way too high.
Yeah, because we just saw it yesterday. They played, Drummond and Vooch played 65 total minutes, which means they played like 17 minutes alongside of each other. So even if you want to just say Drummond gets backup center run, call it 13 minutes, and they play 10 minutes alongside of each other, like he's still a good play today in 23 minutes. He's just not a 50% owned dude.
Amen.
I'd be very surprised if Andre Drummond and Vooch don't play alongside of each other today in any facet. That would shock me in this spot, given they were willing to start them alongside of each other last time.
100% agreed. And like, if he weren't projected to start right now, I think he would be a sneaky play off the bench.
Yeah. A lot of ambiguity. Let's just make it easy. Get Caruso out of there, start Drummond, and then we don't have to dance around whatever this is going to end up being.
We don't want 40% Caruso.
I don't really want 58% Drummond. He's the kind of guy I'd rather get to on a day where like nobody has him, but what are you going to do? It was fun the last time I played him.
I agree, but the dynamic changes when he starts.
Is that a real statement, Obi? Alex Caruso out. We're just conjuring this shit up when we talk about it, aren't we?
I love that for us.
Well, there you go. All of that goes away. And by the way, I believe that we are now going to see Andre Drummond look even better than he did before and have more ownership, because now I think we're all going to have the consensus that he is starting. Like, we have him projected for 27.7 minutes. I assume that goes up, and I assume it goes up across the industry, which is going to raise all boats. Like, I think he's way more likely to just be a 30-minute guy today.
Yeah.
Not that we needed any more of him, but
I know the rising ownership on him. He's just like so hard to fade when you know he's going to get minutes. So I'm not going to fade him.
I'm with you. Rudy Gobert, game time decision. So no change whatsoever to his status. Andrew Kang with the super chat. Sup, guys? Good luck tonight. Josh, lemon spritz and spearmint slim. New Zin flavors. They're outstanding. Thank me later. Jordan, do you have any concept of those flavors? Okay.
State where you can't buy any flavors, so I'm gonna have to order those illegally.
You're just plain?
Yeah, just the plain ones, like the smooth and the chill. But I haven't had those.
I don't know what that means. Yeah. Interesting. Lemon sounds not good. I can't do that one. Spearmint slim. I'll probably stick with peppermint. I was more of a winter fresh guy than the spearmint gum, but whatever. I appreciate the heads up, though. You could have just bought yourself another pack of Zins with that super chat. I appreciate you, man. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to go to Sacramento. Kings are 7.5-point dogs in Denver. 231 total. 10% ownership to Fox, who is questionable. If he doesn't play, Davion Mitchell is flat 3K, point guard, shooting guard, and not fun, because then they'll probably just play Keon Ellis instead. Malik Monk, 15% owned. Everybody else single digits. Everybody else single digits in optimal rate as well. What do you like here from Sacramento in a horrific spot?
Not a ton. I think Fox plays. He was a full participant in practice and shoot around, or one of the two, if not both. So I would expect him to play. He's in play. I mean, he's on a heater right now. We talked for a while about how he had really been struggling. You know, he's a proven commodity, though, so expected him to bounce back. He's bounced back in a big way. I mean, he is crushing this price tag. He doesn't look as good as he has recently because his tag is up to 8,500, but I think Fox would be my favorite guy from Sacramento. Coming in with nice leverage. Hard to prioritize him here today, but I like him.
I wish I had more. This is a guy that I was getting a ton of, and now that it's back up, I'm not getting there. I hope he plays. I don't want to deal with the Davion Mitchell experience because he's atrocious on a per minute basis, but you know, flat 3K is flat 3K.
Yeah, no, I know that Steve Leibowitz just brought it up in the chat. Jamal Murray Murray and Fox are right next to each other in the boom bust tool. I like both of them a lot. I do give the lean to Murray because he's a little bit cheaper, but he's also pulling a little bit more ownership. So I think both those guys look similar.
I have a bit more Murray, so we're on the same page there. What do you want to do with the rest of these guys, though? Sabonis, Keegan Murray, Herder, Monk. What are you seeing here?
I don't like the spot for the ancillary pieces on Sacramento. Keegan Murray always has upside, but he doesn't look nearly as good as he has recently. Sabonis is probably one of, for me, and this is when you said Jarrett Allen was the sneakiest play on the slate.
I like it.
My mind went to Sabonis, and they're honestly very similar plays, just at different price points. But the same thing holds. Neither of them are getting any love because Drummond, Jokic, other centers getting ownership.
Yeah.
Sabonis has been a fantasy monster this year. Again, that doesn't mean anything for tonight, but he's not pulling any ownership. I mean, he is like the one guy above 10K who is getting no love. That's interesting to me.
I like that chat. I like that one better than Jared Allen because the moment you're getting up to 10-3 Sabonis, I feel like everybody's immediate reaction is how can I find $1,400 more to get to Nikola Jokic? But there's no reason that Sabonis can't get out there and hang his triple double and be, one of the dudes beat Jokic. Honestly, like that's a 25-30% outcome today. Maybe a little later than that, but either way, relative to salary at least. I just don't have much of Sacramento because Denver's defense is decent. They play slow, and at elevation, I don't really like it.
Same.
I do like the Denver side. KCP, highest owned guy at 20%. Murray's pulling 15. Aaron Gordon's pulling 15. Jokic is at 10. Around 5 for MPJ and Peyton Watson. Take it wherever you want. What do you like for Denver?
Denver looks just good here. All of them look like they're in play, specifically Jokic, who looks like one of, if not the best spend up option on the slate, playing out of his mind right now. I mean, he's always out of his mind, but specifically right now. Like Jamal a lot, under 8K. We know he's got big upside there, and he's priced probably too cheap for his median projection as well. So he stands out to me. I don't mind the other Denver guys. No, never mind playing an Aaron Gordon, KCP, but I'm not going to sit here and commit to those guys, and we're just waiting on value, and that could make those guys just not even in play.
Yep. Yeah, I actually have KCP. I'm hoping that kind of goes away. Just like not the kind of guy that I want to roster on a day like today. So I'm hoping that just skedaddles if he's going to be 20% owned. Like I hope I can find something else that just shows up. But Jamal Murray is the guy that I have the most of, and the guy that I want the most of for sure.
Yeah, same.
Anything else for Denver? They're kind of easy to talk about. There's just the same team every day.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We will close this out with the Lakers and Clippers Battle of Los Angeles. First and foremost, though, remember, guys, hit that like button and playback 7:30. Playback.tv/stochastic. Myself and Greg, potentially others, will be there for about an hour or so. Just talking hoops, talking bets, talking DFS, talking news. Talking whatever. It's a fun hang, and we're watching basketball while we do it, and you guys can watch along with us for whatever games are live. So come and join us, guys. Doesn't cost you a thing. Lakers are 3.5-point dogs in Los Angeles against the other Los Angeles team, who may or may not be the LA Clippers anymore. I don't know what they're doing with their new name. They were Los Angeles Clippers. They changed it to LA Clippers. Now I think they're going to be Los Angeles Clippers again. Nobody cares what I'm saying. Probable tag on AD, Q tag on LeBron, probable tag on Cam Reddish, who we have not seen in a very long time. And for the Clippers, just to get it out of the way, no Paul George, Q tag on Ivica Zubac, which is interesting. 14% ownership to AD, 15% ownership to LeBron James. Those seem to be the two guys that you're going to play here if you're playing anybody.
Yeah, they look good though. Slightly discounted from, the other spend up options in the same tier as Halliburton. These are guys that make it hard to play a Halliburton because they look better and they're priced similarly. So I think I'd rather get to Sabonis than Davis, but man, like LeBron, AD, they're elite. I'm never going to be like, you can't play these guys because you always can.
Yeah. I had a lot more earlier today. I don't have as much now. I'm going to see where that ends up. But I like LeBron here at 9,100, small forward, power forward, especially in a matchup against the Clippers where it feels like, I assume he plays. They play the Wizards tomorrow. Seems like if you're ever going to sit LeBron for a game, it's probably the back end of this one. But it'll be very interesting to see if we lose Zubats at some point in time throughout the night and what that ends up doing to the Clippers side and if we end up creating any value. But as I look at the Lakers, it's AD and it's LeBron, and I can't really imagine having anybody else.
I'm with you on Bron. I did a double take seeing his price tag. Now I know why. That is the cheapest I feel like he's been in a long time, maybe ever.
Very, very low for LeBron James right now. 1.36 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days, though. He's not letting up.
No, I mean, it's LeBron James.
And then we get to the Clippers. We'll leave the Zubats piece out of it for right now, but Zubats, Harden, Leonard, and Terrence Mann are all like essentially 28% owned. And then you get Norm Powell, 63% owned on DraftKings, 77 on FanDuel, 4,800, shooting guard, small forward. I think he played 37 minutes in the game that Paul George was out last time. No one's given him 37 minutes, but you don't have to. To me, the easiest guy to roster on the entire slate. Best position, best price, best role, best everything.
Yeah, I hate it just because it's Norm Powell and he's like by far the most popular player on the slate. I think I like Drummond as the easiest play, but I get your positionality points and makes sense. So, I mean, I think we're splitting hairs either way. I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yeah.
They
are Powell, 1 and 2.
It's a great spot. He's too cheap and the minutes are there. But if he's not making shots, like it can go bad for him in a hurry and they don't have to play him. So he does look like the best play in the slate, but there are ways this doesn't go well. I mean, That's the case with everyone. So can't just sit here and say, well, he could not play well because anyone could not play well. And I'm also not going to not play him because of the ownership, because as we talk about often, there are plenty of ways to get different in your lineup. That 63% though is high. I mean, real high, but so is his 42% optimal percentage. So I'm a little bit torn here. And in these instances, when the guys are cheap, I'll just play them and get different elsewhere.
For those that are interested, here's a stat for you guys. In my entire model of every NBA player that I have a projection line for everybody. Norm Powell is the tied for first, but ranked second most points dependent scorer in the league. 68% of his fantasy score is points. That's the second highest rate of anybody in basketball. Do you have a guess of who's number one?
With points. Oh, I was give me a hint.
He got traded this year. And he plays. Like he's a real NBA player.
This might sound awful, but this is the guy that comes to head. Bogdanovich?
Bojan Bogdanovic, number one. Chat's guessing a lot of Cam Thomas, too. He is third. So good work and great work on Bojan Bogdanovic. 68.15% of his fantasy score is points. Norm Powell is at 68.11.
That's wild. I'm surprised that Bogdanovic is that high. Like, I feel like he does more stuff, but clearly he doesn't. So that goes to show you what feelings can do. I don't know. Like Powell, he's not like dirt cheap either. He looks like a great play. I certainly think that he's like the opposite of the Donovan Mitchells of the world. We're in like the $4. He's really going to be 63%. We're not talking about a 3K point guard or center. I mean, he still needs to make shots, as you just so eloquently laid out, to be viable. So I think that that's the case for fading him, knowing that on paper, he's a really good play based on his projection.
For those that care, the opposite of these guys, the guy that scores the least amount of real points out of his fantasy score, Zion, Ingram, and CJ McCollum all will play. If you want to bet this game, do it right now. Go get that line. It is coming down. I'll guarantee it. I'd imagine it might be like go quickly. By the way, Jericho Sims, fellow Bojan Bogdanovic teammate, dead last in percentage of points. Goga Batadze, a close second. Ben Simmons coming in at fifth.
Those make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Can't believe they're all in. Holy shit. I can't wait to see what that line moves to. Let's close this out with the rest of the Clippers talk. I like Harden. I'm over the field. I like Kawhi. I'm over the field. I like Terrence Mann. I'm over the field. I really like $5,600 Zubats if he's playing. I'm over the field. If he's not playing, though, I guess fire up your $3,100 Daniel Tice, maybe your $3,500 Mason Plumlee. I'm going to be happy to get to either one of those dudes as a value option, but boy, oh boy, does that complicate things. And I don't know how much you get if you get that news at 9:01.
Is it Tice or Plumlee?
Tice played their most recent game, which I thought was interesting. Last game out, Tice played 14 minutes. Plumlee didn't play at all after Tice being not playing and Plumlee playing every day. And then we have gotten PJ Tucker over the last 2 days, but I don't know. My guess is we would get, it feels like we would get Plumlee starting, but whoever starts is the guy you want.
I agree, but I think they're riskier than they normally would be with Tucker now back in the mix. You know, the other guy is definitely going to play. Not a good spot against an Anthony Davis-led front court. So I'm with you. Zubats looks really good if he's in.
Yeah.
The ownership's there, but maybe that comes down with the questionable tag. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. I like Terrence Mann way too much. Like
4,400 is nice.
I like him more than Powell, which is probably a mistake. And I do like Powell's small forward eligibility, but I think they're both really, really good plays. I think the two of them, now that we got the New Orleans news, are two of the top 5 value plays on the slate.
Anything else you want to add? We are done, man. We have gone through an hour.
Yeah, it went quickly.
I got nothing else. Live before lock
Same.
coming up next. Hit that like button, folks. Let's run that number north of 500. They're going to take you up to 730, and I will see you guys on playback at 730. Have fun, everybody. Bye, playback.
We're back, baby. Inducting you fine friends into the Stochastic Hall of Fame and giving away a lot of free month subscriptions. Any package of your choosing up to $200. And all you got to do to get involved, get inducted, get your free month, get your free Sims package, is download the Stochastic Avatar at stochastic.com/avatar. Tweet us your wins at Stochastic HOF when you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. Doesn't matter if it's a 5-cent entry or 500 and you are in. We kick this week off with Dave Oliver, Elway's Army, back again. Thanks for the great analysis. Sims just simply the best. $3,500 win in the NBA Showdown. And then the Professor. The Sims tool is legit. Yes, sir. $4,000 for the Professor. And Jorge's back. He was just in here for the NFL. Now, finally made it into the NBA Hall of Fame. Stochastic Sims took down the 20 max. I'll take second place. Thanks to the crew and the valuable information during the shows. Congrats, Jorge. And our own CEO, Tom Kennedy. Double or nothing on the Chiefs. And yeah, the lineups were built and swapped with the Stochastic Sims tool. What's that, a $51,000 win, a $5,000? Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty nice night for Tom, as well as John Good. Another great night last night with the Sims tool. 9th in the big tourney as well. You guys rock. $1,000. First place in the 10K mini max. And Jay Lutzy back again. Good night sweat. All thanks to your help from ownership projections for a single game 15 minutes before. $2,500 for Jay Lutzy. And South Jersey beer scene. Hey, Stochastic, you might be on to something with the Sims thing. 3rd week in and stat correction away from a takedown. Thanks to the team, especially all of those fellas. And for the hours of content, cheers. Nice win for South Jersey beer scene. Ron Koth took 3rd in the 12K Friday NBA pick and roll with only 8 entries. Thanks to Stochastic and Josh Engleman for all the good info. Tyler Shaughnessy woke up this morning feeling like a champ. Big ups to the crew. The $1,900 win for Tyler as well. A little NFL action to close out the season in the Super Bowl. And PJ Allen decided to start doing the 50-cent mini-max after living in the jukebox and dime world forever. First contest was Saturday, took 16th. This is Sunday and Mondays. Thanks to everyone at Stochastic, especially the guys on Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock. You guys are awesome. Second place, $250 for PJ Allen. And Stormamu landed second place in the FanDuel pick and roll thanks to the team and their help. Can't wait to try the Sims. You got it, brother. You got it. You're in. The Lulis card, Stochastic has the best tools in the game. Showdown takedown, $250 first place in Showdown. And Freddie P. If the sorry Bucks could have kept this game a little closer, good night overall. We'll take it. 750 second place for Freddie. And Brian Miller, shout out to the process. Josh getting some love on this one. Deeper Dive live before lock crew for the insight. After a couple chopped large field first, a solo first, 3,000, and third in this $4,700 field single entry. Maybe I can finally get hooked up with a sub. We got you, brother. 4,700's close to 5,000. Close enough. And they took down another one. Big thanks to the Deeper Dive live before lock crew. Best in the game. Close it out with John. Hope this counts. Hey, if it's 5,000 or more, like I said, doesn't matter if it's the quarter jukebox or the fadeaway. You're in, brother. Shout out to everybody who's been inducted. Welcome back if you've been here before. Hit us up at support@stokastic.com. Get that free month, $200 value, whatever sports you want. And don't forget, rock that Stokastic avatar wherever it is you're playing.
What is happening, everybody? It is time for another NBA Live Before Lock. It is only a 6-game slate, but I really like the tournaments that we have over at DraftKings tonight. In particular, we've got the $15, but they've also done, and we haven't seen this yet, a $15 150 max and a $4 150 max. So lots of options for different people. I'm definitely enjoying that. Hopefully you guys are as well. Over the course of the show, we're going to be covering DraftKings. We'll talk FanDuel, whatever else it is you guys have questions for us about. And free content. The only thing we ask for you is to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm joined here by my dear friend, Eric Lindquist. We're sponsored by Sleeper. Eric, what's happening today, man?
Not much. Yesterday, Kyle Anderson. Oh, I had so many good lineups. It felt so good watching Ant leave the court and come back healthy, happy, ready to rock. That ended up being lovely, but the Kyle Anderson thing sunk it. So just looking at my lineups made me really, really sad this morning, knowing that 22 from him did wonders for me and probably for a lot of you out there. So excited to start this slate. And I'm playing both sites quite a bit. I also love FanDuel today because it has Daniel Tice at power forward. If he wasn't at power forward, probably wouldn't be playing there today. He's the flat min over on FanDuel. So for all the people who always ask FanDuel questions, fire them up. I am playing a lot on both sites.
Yeah, so, and as we all know, when Eric plays on both sites, it never goes poorly for him.
No,
there's never any hiccups. There's never any weird news that comes out late. There's nothing. It always is smooth sailing.
Nobody's ever had too much coffee. No, it's never happened.
There's never been a point where Eric playing on two sites has, it's actually, honestly, I don't think ever gone well for him, but today's going to be the difference. Today's going to be the turning point where he's going to crush it on both DraftKings and FanDuel. I feel you.
Thanks,
I had live lineups last night. I had a lineup that was 8th in the $15 last night at the time.
I didn't see that.
Got hurt. In single entry,
at the time.
In the $100 single entry, I came top 20 with an Alex Caruso and a Kyle Anderson lineup, and Anthony Edwards in that lineup as well. So two players that ended up getting injured at points during the game. And then Caruso came back, although didn't really do anything. He came back for like a minute, was still banged up, wasn't able to. So yeah, it was a slate where I was very slightly profitable. It felt like I should have been really profitable.
You know what's crazy to me? You know what's crazy? I mean, I still had some Alec Burks. I know you still had some Alec Burks, but we both thought he was going to start. And I brought up that context the entire show. And the first thing I see everybody coming in here, it's the same thing from 2 days ago where, all of a sudden Dennis Schroeder was starting out of the middle of nowhere. And it's like, well, I moved a lot to that. Everything needs context and a timestamp attached to it. Odd Shopper has a time age. We should have a time age on what we said our ownership was and our interest level of a player or the nuke of the night or whatever, based on the time we say it. Because a slate like this, you're not going to like the answer to a lot of the stuff I say because it just completely depends on news. Everything is so news dependent today. It is one of those where it's Friday. If this slate were Friday, it would be a stone cold disaster to some extent because you'd just be playing both sides of the fence for what happens with the Clippers. At least I'd want to try to play a min-salary center. But today, I mean, everything we do, everything we talk about with the Sims, it's going to change so much over the course of the next 50 minutes and the next hours after we get done with this show. So Stuff like that where, Miles McBride ends up starting. I hope you got to a ton of Miles McBride. He was 30% owned for a reason. He smashed. We were both over on that. But overall, yeah, the Kyle Edwards thing, the Kyle Anderson thing.
Edwards.
Yeah, I just combined the two. I generally love them both. Obviously, Ant is just generational. And Kyle Edwards, always enjoyed. I just do it again. Kyle Anderson, him getting in the face of like Rudy Gobert last year was one of my favorite things ever. Maybe that's why they're getting along and playing nice here now. But tons to get to on today's slate. Let's ride.
Yeah, and we'll see. There is no Kyle Smith. We're gonna call him now. We've called him everything but Kyle Anderson, so might as well throw some other names in there as well. We are
that's his Mormon brother.
Or by Sleeper. If you guys sign up at Sleeper, you're going to get a deposit bonus offer up to $500 if you sign up using our link that we have below, and a free square tonight over under 0.5 points for Anthony Davis. So if you guys think that Anthony Davis is going to score a point today, you might want to sign up at Sleeper using the link that we have below. Get access to that free square over 0.5 points for Anthony Davis. And as many people have brought up in the chat here, Alec Burks didn't have a very good game. Listen, I still thought he was a reasonable enough GPP option with the Knicks being shorthanded. What ended up happening, though, is there was a Knicks bench guy who kind of went off last night. It was your exotic friend, Bojan Bogdanovic, who was not Alec Burks, who ended up being the guy.
He was 6,100, though. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it.
He was the guy. He was the guy. He was exotic. But now we'll move on to tonight's slate, starting with a super chat from Ace of Spade. And don't forget, guys, if you're in our Discord channel, at me, over the course of the show, we can answer any questions you have in Discord. And then also, don't forget, we got the post-lock show over on Playback right after this. Josh and I have a fun game plan for tonight, so we'll see how that ends up breaking down. We'll see how it goes. Always trying different things over there, and then also whatever suggestions you guys have, try to take those into account as well. But the first question is coming to us from Ace of Spade. Eric, what do you think his question might be?
FanDuel tiers. Oh, no, it's the FanDuel tiers I'm going to have when I lose money over there for the first time playing there in like forever. So DraftKings tiers. There we go.
Yep. Yeah. It is a DraftKings tier.
Right.
So a little bit of a mix up from Ace of Spade. He wants to know our favorite options for DK tiers.
Got him.
So starting with tier 1, that is going to be Luka for me. How about yourself?
Luka.
Tier 1, Luka. Tier 2, Anthony Davis. Pretty easy one. Couple of easy ones to kick us off here. Here's where things get a little bit more dicey, though. Tier 3, I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard playing in the absence of Paul George, but we've also got James Harden in this tier. We've got Scotty Barnes, who's been having a massive game as of late. We've got Anthony Edwards, who is not out tonight or not can you believe that he was able to come back as quickly as he did last night? Because he looked dead from that ankle injury.
No, I could not.
Because I will say, here's my actual thought when he rolled. Here's how bad the ankle sprain looked. Is because you're a Minnesota fan. I'm not a Minnesota fan, but kind of like a pseudo fan because I have futures bets on them. The ankle roll looked so bad when it happened. I thought my futures tickets were dead.
I went like this.
What the cash out value of them was when he got hurt last night.
So I was working on my betting stuff. I was talking with producer Jacob, and it happened, and I went like this and like almost got whiplash. It hurt so bad. And then you had Gobert go up and grab his ankle, and I started screaming. I was like, get the fuck away from get away from Ant. Like, stop it. And then apparently it was like a good thing you like elevated and was like grasping it right away. Just, I don't even know what Gobert was doing. It was very, very strange. But I was just like, what are you doing, bro? And then all of a sudden he was warming up for the second half and could not believe my eyes. It was magical.
I was so concerned about Anthony Edwards that the Kyle Anderson injury kind of went under the radar for me. Like, I knew that he kind of got banged up at the end of the half, but I didn't put all that much thought into it. I was more thinking, is Edwards going to come back or not? I didn't think that Kyle Anderson was just going to all of a sudden not start the second half. But anyway,
Unreal.
Tier 3, I'm going with Kawhi. Who did you go with in Tier 3?
Always whining. I'm a Minnesota fan. If I didn't freak out when that happens, it would have been a problem in itself. Tier 4, it is for me, Brandon Ingram, ever so slightly. No, it's Karl Anthony Towns. I'm a liar.
We've got lots of questions coming to us in playback. People are wondering. Teddy Wayman asked, Jason asked, Eric, what's in the cup? What are you drinking?
I got some like tea, some iced tea stuff because my throat is just killing me. Maybe it's just having to scream so much at everybody for being stupid.
All right, so there we have it. Eric is drinking just some tea there. Nothing.
Dude, my throat is. I talk bourbon all the live long day. What do you want me to do? You want me to show you the tea? I don't know how to show it to you, but it is 100%.
I mean, I don't think they
tea.
don't believe you. They just wanted it to be something more interesting.
Oh, it is liquid crack cocaine.
All right, there we go. It is a crack cocaine. We've changed the answer to crack cocaine.
There we go.
Tier 4, that is going to be Karl-Anthony Towns for me.
Karl-Anthony Towns.
I really thought we were going to see players ruled out for the Pelicans, but ultimately those guys are good to go. So I was all geared up for it to be Brandon Ingram in tier 4, but ultimately isn't. Tier 5, there's going to be Jamal Murray for me.
Jamal Murray. I knew somebody was going to say throat goat as soon as I did that. It's fine. I hate my life. I really hate everybody.
There's nothing wrong with people saying accurate things on the internet, though. In tier 6, that is Emmanuel Quickly.
I'm not even looking. I'm sorry, Ace of Spades. Just, I'll trust you, Emmanuel Quickly.
All right. Eric is going with Emmanuel Quickly in tier 6. And oh my God, you are just, people are getting all on you over there in the playback chat over there.
Oh, yeah. No, YouTube chat's going pretty absurd here, too. I've got them both pulled up because why is Lindy so defensive? Mainly because I don't know. I feel like I'm always on edge lately. I feel like I have to be. You guys are just so mean-spirited. I don't know what to tell you.
JJ Gwaltney saying that he was unaware iced tea is good for your throat.
Yeah, you put a little honey in it, and then we have lemon. I have like a lemon tree in our backyard, and I literally just go whoop with a little bit of honey, and it's fantastic.
All right. Who knows better than Eric how to soothe a sore throat as well? So Eric is all on it. He's got, well, I'm just saying that you got good medical information.
Oh, God.
You got really good medical information.
Give me the strength to get through this show today.
COVID Bryant II over in our playback chat wants to know if Eric was a doctor. Yeah, he is. He knows everything. But I don't understand what's wrong with that response.
Jordan Klein.
What's wrong with if your throat hurts a little bit, making it feel better? I don't know what's wrong with saying that somebody's very well informed on the best ways to heal your body. By the way, Jordan, we got this question from Cornell Granville in here as well as Andrew Kang. Were they answered on the last show? Cool. All right, so we already hit on both of
Josh
those.
Answered
I
super chats.
Day was the first one for the show, but
opposite
I really wanted
day.
to check there. The next question is True Rages. He says, "Hey guys, I have the Clippers chalk and Drummond, McDaniels and Cat in case of injuries, and Benedict Mathurin. Can I get your expert advice for cash?" All right, who are the must plays in cash games tonight? I think you are missing out on a lot of them based on what you mentioned right there.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're looking at. They're the most obvious guy is Norman Powell. You're playing him. Andre Drummond.
He's playing the Clippers chalk, by the way. I don't know. So I do want to dive into this though, because Clippers chalk, I assume that means you have
Powell. He's the only piece of chalk.
No. I mean, for like
Harden
Kawhi and James
on
Harden
DK.
are both fairly chalky as well.
Yeah, DK, you're playing Harden. Obviously, I'm playing both sides. We're talking DraftKings. Yeah, Harden and Powell. Those are your super chalk guys. Kawhi, he's probably the odd man out between those two. I think, here's the thing. There are going to be cash pieces that change throughout the night. Like there's going to be some swappability. I would be, if I were playing cash tonight, which I'm not, thank God, I would be doing a lot of like 2v2, 3v3, trying to play around with the salary of what happens if De'Aaron Fox is ruled out. What happens if we get Ivica Zubac, who I'm assuming is going to end up being out? What happens with that? How do I look at Daniel Tice? And how do I look at Mason Plumlee in the event that he somehow gets the start, even though he's been out of the rotation here recently? He's still going to play backup minutes. Could be a hot hand approach. I would be playing with a lot of those type of plays. And center is such a coveted position. That's what I talked about the most in the article today. Andre Drummond, I think we all assume that he ends up starting here. He started last time against the Cavs. There are very few ways that without Alex Caruso there that they would choose to start like Dalen Terry or somebody else. So for all intents and purposes, you're playing Andre Drummond in cash. You're playing Norman Powell in cash. You're playing James Harden in cash. And then it becomes like, how much do I want to be playing the late swap game? We got the New Orleans news already. Just be aware that things are going to change throughout the night in a way where you don't want to probably like jam anything that isn't mega chalk already in the early games.
So here's the easiest way to situate your lineups for late. So what's great is that we have so much value on the Clippers. You're probably getting to a lot of Clippers in your lineups, no matter how you're building your lineups. If you're hand building lineups, if you're using our projections, if you're running lineups through our sims, if you're using an optimizer, it is going to give you a lot of exposure to the Clippers, which is going to mean you are just by default going to get flexibility in your lineups because that game is the last game to lock on the entire slate. So if you have a lot of exposure to the Clippers, you're already prepared to make swaps if De'Aaron Fox is ruled out.
Correct.
Here's what I think you guys should be doing in the Sims tool, because it's going to be the next question that we're either going to get asked or somebody has asked it in Discord. I just haven't seen it come through yet in my notifications. Here are the players that it makes the most sense to give ROI boost to in the Sims. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden. That is going to give you the most amount of flexibility possible.
And LeBron James, I'd be giving him a boost. I'm over the field on him too. For tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to give. So LeBron's questionable right now. Who knows if that's actually real or not? But I don't think you have to give him a boost individually. I mean, you can if you want to, but just if you're already getting to a lot of Clippers guys, you've already got that flexibility built in as well.
That's true. The thing is, though, like, and I was doing this earlier too with the Sims as I was playing around with like what happens with the Zubats news, because Zubats was the second highest owned. I believe he still is now. Still the second highest owned center on the slate today. Having a game plan in mind for these kind of games where it is only 6 games. We don't have 9 games. We don't have the late games eliminated. Everything is slammed together here. And so you have to kind of make some concessions in certain lineups and understand that it's like, all right, this can end up really, really poor, because like the rare lineups are the ones that are going to be like Zubats by himself, or like Zubats and Powell. You have those two together, and then Fox gets ruled out. What are you going to do there? Like that's such a tough thing to navigate. And so again, I'm playing both sides just to get an overall pool and make a couple of different stands based on where the pricing is today. Again, I brought up Daniel Tice. He is the min with power forward eligibility on FanDuel. That alone allows me to feel so much better about not having to just play for that one narrative on DraftKings today. And that's the main point of like getting exposure to multiple sites. I haven't done it as much over the last year, as much as I preached over the course of the first year or two I was here. But part of that is just trying to do a good job on shows of giving accurate information based on the pricing of the site most people play on DraftKings. But today, there is no doubt that like that power forward eligibility is so valuable there. Whereas on DK, so hard to build for it. So have some different plans in mind, have some different lineup configurations, be able to look at, your pool of 5,000 lineups you're making in the Sims tool, bring those over and sort by the certain players what you have for those expected ROIs, because that ROI could change drastically based on news.
And oh boy, I'm seeing we've got some really good questions coming into Discord that I cannot wait to get to. So, by the way, if you guys are
it's just like Eric's like whoop-de-doo Basil throat goat season play of the day.
That's not all that far off, to be honest.
There you go.
I cannot
Cool.
wait to get to some of these. If you guys are in our Discord channel, one of the perks is you do get to ask us questions both during shows and after shows. I'm pretty readily available in Discord to answer any of your questions. And you get to troll Eric on shows, which is what we're going to be doing in there shortly. We'll answer one more super chat here, and then we'll get into the Discord questions. We've got one in here from Runeski, but there is no... by the way, so overall, by the way, True Rage, I just want to circle back. The players that I absolutely think you have to be playing in cash games tonight: Norman Powell, Andre Drummond, Jordan Goodwin, James Harden, Zubats, Kawhi. Yeah. I would say those 6 guys, play all of them in cash games. And then whatever happens with the Clippers, De'Aaron Fox later, you're going to have the flexibility to swap. But those 6 guys, lock them into cash games. Let's see. The next one here, Runeski left us a super chat. There is no question attached. Let me search the YouTube chat to see if he threw a question in. I don't see one. Runeski, if you have a question for us, you don't have to leave another super chat. Just leave a question in YouTube, and I'm going to be on the lookout for it. If I see it or if Jordan sees it, he'll send it to me so we can answer. But Runeski, if you just wanted to leave us some money, here we go. Runeski did one. He wants to know, who's Eric's key bump of the night? Who's getting you pumped up tonight? Who's making you excited for the slate? Who wants to make you go party?
It's not how I party. It's very rude. It is
tonight. You already said that's what's in your cup, remember?
Oh, yeah, the liquid crack cocaine. Yeah, I am so drunk. Oh, I'm Samantha. Oh. Let's see. Who am I bumping like a disgusting, terrible human? Again, it's going to depend. One guy that's not going to change in my lineups, I am very surprised at Jamal Murray's ownership. 7,800 Jamal Murray. He is at 15%. I am north of that number right now and probably will be no matter how news pans out.
Let's see. So how do I want to answer this? Who's getting me like really excited for the slate? Huh.
I could also say Daniel Tice because obviously on FanDuel, that is something that is occurring in my life.
Okay. This is here's somebody you should have preloaded into lineups because more value could open up later. Luka. The game locks at 7:30. I know I'm not saying anything crazy, guys. You all know, like, yeah. Luka's a viable payout option, but there's going to potentially be a lot of value that opens up later on in the slate, which means what? It's going to be easy to get to some players from maybe like mid-range guys to players that are super cheap that are really good points per dollar play, like Eric's favorite exotic guy that he's been bringing up, Daniel Tice.
Craig.
So if that happens, though, where a lot of late value opens up later, you're going to have wanted to have somebody like Luka already in your lineups. Because if we knew we had all these good value plays right now, you'd be jamming some of the high-end guys. So another player that I think you can make a really strong case for giving an ROI boost for in the Sims is Luka in the event that we get more of that value to open up later, which I think is a pretty live possibility to happen. Because to read off the entirety of the injury report here, and let me just double check to make sure no news.
You don't get to retroactively add Luka to your lineups.
Yes.
That's the thing. You don't get to go back in time and say, oh, now there's value. I'm going to now add the guy who's tied with Jokic, like they're 1-2 in terms of fantasy score. So always do that because the projections, like at lock, you're done with Dallas. Like Dallas is done. So you got to add him now or you forever hold your peace.
Yeah, and then if we look at, okay, so overall injury report, here are all of the players that are listed as questionable for tonight. LeBron, I don't take that one super seriously. Anthony Edwards is questionable. Considering Edwards appears to heal like Wolverine and he came back from the injury last night after it happened, I tend to think he plays as well. Don't know that for sure, but my lean is that he's going to end up playing. De'Aaron Fox is questionable. Rudy Gobert is questionable. Ivica Zubac is questionable as well. Those are all players that could have a pretty significant impact on the slate. So that's what we're talking about by the value that could end up opening up later on in the night. Let's see, was there a couple more super chats? So I'm going to first, I really want to get to a couple of these Discord questions. So let's answer some of the Discord questions, and then we'll get back to some of those questions that we're getting from the super chats. And guys, don't forget, if you want to sign up for any stochastic package, you get access to things like our Sims tool. If you want the lineup generator package, you want player projections, ownership projections, or if you just want access to the Discord to hang out with us, sign up for any of the packages that we have below using the link in the description box. The cheapest package that we have, I shouldn't say cheap because none of them are really cheap, but I'll say the most affordable package at stochastic.com is the lineup generator package. And that is going to build lineups for you using the different data and simulations we have at stochastic.com. You could customize them because within the lineup generator, you're going to find all our player projections and ownership projections. So less than $15 for the lineup generator package if you guys want to sign up for that one. But first, Mr. Cool Cam here. Favorite players at each position for FanDuel. All right, let's pull up FanDuel. We haven't gotten any FanDuel questions yet, Eric. Point guard for me, that is Jordan Goodwin.
Jordan Goodwin. All
right. Shooting guard for me.
Norman Powell.
Who do I want to use? I'm going to go Norman Powell, shooting guard.
I just said him first.
Okay, but it doesn't mean it can't be my answer at shooting guard as well.
Yesterday you did whatever. Kawhi Leonard, small forward, beat you.
Yeah. So the reason I was trying to figure out was who did I want to go at shooting guard, small forward, because Norman Powell's eligibility at both. And then I was trying to figure out, do I have more exposure to Kawhi Leonard or James Harden to figure out which one to plug in at the other spot. So actually at small forward, though, I'm going to go Brandon Ingram so that I could go with Kawhi Leonard at power forward.
There you go. Okay. There you go. Same.
What are you doing with that power forward?
PJ Washington.
Okay. And then for me at center, that is going to be Andre Drummond.
Same.
Are you assuming Drummond starts tonight? Because
yes. Yeah. Well, Alex Caruso being out solidifies it. They did this the last time against Cleveland. They've done it, obviously, a lot of times. You had the Twin Towers against Timberwolves thing. I went back and looked at a bunch of box scores for that. Went back and looked at a bunch of box scores for like how, there's a couple of like these Twin Tower type situations. Teams do to handle Minnesota differently than other teams. And the Clippers went insanely small to close in that spot specifically. I don't think they will tonight based on Anthony Davis's existence and what he does offensively compared to Rudy Gobert. But for tonight, Drummond, I think, playing next to Vooch yesterday, coming into today, it kind of had me leaning that way this morning. I wish I had pulled the trigger on some Vooch unders there, but I definitely with Alex Caruso out, believe it to be true.
Yeah, and I thought we were going to get a Drummond start either way, just because, like you said, we had that game against the Timberwolves, which I think is the closest blueprint we have to the Cavaliers with Mobley and Jared Allen in the front court. So I do think we see that starting unit of Andre Drummond and Vooch together. And they've played, in fairness to them, way better than I ever could have anticipated when you told me that they were going to start playing minutes. It seems so weird when they're first playing minutes together, but it hasn't been terrible.
It's strange because it feels like when you watch it, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, this is like a ball take, and obviously we watch a lot of basketball. Playback is predicated on watching a lot of basketball, and you should be checking it out because it's fun to bring the data into the like nose ball type territory. I think that's something you and Josh are both excellent at. But Andre Drummond looks happy playing alongside Vooch. That's such a weird note, but like it seems as though it takes some pressure off where he's not the only guy on the glass, although Vooch does see his rebound rate go from like 18% to 10% sharing the floor on the defensive side of things, a defensive rebound rate playing next to Drummond. So it's definitely a downtick hard for Vooch, but with power forward eligibility for Vooch, I'm still going to get there in some capacity on DraftKings. But Drummond just seems like he's freed up when they play on the floor together, which is just such a strange thing to note.
Yeah. Hey, it's something that they've been going to, and it's been good for fantasy when we hit on Andre Drummond in the right spots as well. But let's get into some of the better questions in Discord. Now, as John Contra was just ruled out, that's not going to really change anything here. But Kenny Wayne, his usual question, Eric, who's the exotic play of the day?
Oh my God, stop it.
There's some good ones today.
Luka, fine. I mean, Daniel Tice on FanDuel.
One.
Everybody's like, Eric, why do you like Daniel Tice on FanDuel today? Well,
because he's white.
Mason Plumlee's been out of the rotation lately. And again, power forward eligibility is the main thing for FanDuel purposes. So on the cheap end, we'll go Daniel Tice on FanDuel, specifically on DraftKings, Luka Doncic. It's a 2-for-1 exotic special.
I'm gonna go with Zubats here as my exotic play. And you know what's great about Zubats? If he gets ruled out, you swap him to another exotic play in Daniel Tice. So you can get exotic no matter which way you go here.
Oh my God. What's
better than an exotic play that could lead to an even more exotic play? Not much. I know Eric will say some iced tea, but I got to tell you, I like this situation we got in the front court for the Los Angeles Clippers tonight. So I'm going to go with Ivica Zubats. Another question here. This one is from Ethan7. Eric, who is the throat-soothing play of the night from Lindy tonight?
I need the context of what we're getting at here.
All right. So let's try to figure this out. The throat-soothing play of the night. This is assuming you get fucked early in the night, who's going to save you later on in the night? Somebody's going to screw you in the early going in the slate, and then in the later part of the night, you're going to have a nice contrarian play to bail you out and make you feel better. Who's that play?
How have you won so much money this year at doing this? You are such a disturbing person.
Because
I feel like Lee Trevino and Happy Gilmore. Okay. Karl Anthony Towns.
Why Karl Anthony Towns?
Just cause.
But he only locks at 8 o'clock. I would think it's somebody from the 10 or the 9 o'clock game. Yeah, I just think you're not doing the throat-soothing play of the night correctly.
Terrence Mann.
Yeah, so here's who's going to come from behind and save our lineups tonight. It is going to be Kawhi Leonard or James Harden. Kawhi Leonard. I right now have a little bit more of Kawhi, just with Paul George being out for the Los Angeles Clippers. And then also what we were talking about before is the amount of value that we get on this slate. It is not going to change the amount of, we want to get to more pay-up options if more value becomes available. And that's where I think Kawhi Leonard is really going to slot in really well. So, I'm going to go for my throat-soothing play of the night that's going to help our lineups by coming from behind Kawhi Leonard.
Wow. What a unbelievable segment you just created. Basically art.
Listen, I'm trying to do the good basketball analysis for the people here. Melissa H says she rarely plays on FanDuel, but she is tonight. Hey, look, you've encouraged other people to play on FanDuel as well, Eric. The Sims are giving her 96% PJ Washington in 25 lineups. Should she do a negative boost? Eric, is 95% PJ Washington, keeping in mind Melissa's playing 25 lineups. Do you have an issue with an aggressive amount of PJ Washington tonight?
Yes, I do. That much PJ Washington.
That you think makes sense as a pivot.
So pivot isn't probably the right word.
Mm-hmm.
We want to get Rudy Gobert news because Naz Reid is at the power forward spot. We want to have Santi Aldama in mind for FanDuel. He's a pretty decent, like a contrarian option. Again, Memphis sucks. They're terrible, no good, very bad, but there's an opportunity to get to them. I probably want to be jamming Daniel Tice the way that I am, and that's probably going to stay the same no matter what. I will figure it out later. Again, we'll wait for that Zubats news. I like Zubats if you can get there for DraftKings purposes. Don't have to really worry about him for FanDuel. Not really like a pivot. What the hell?
So here's why we got issues going on there.
Yeah, hold please.
All right. So Eric, is your ceiling about what is going on?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, this is serious. Eric could be in danger.
Oh shit, hang on.
Well, this is big drama. All right, so I'm going to answer some of your guys' questions here.
I can hear you.
I'm going to have to hold off on making fun of Eric for at least 90 seconds here or so. But here's the reason why, Melissa, I think you do want to do a little bit of, it doesn't have to be a negative ROI boost. You could use the exposures cap to cap your PJ Washington exposure. But what, you have a horrified look on your face right now.
Yeah. I might have bees in my air conditioner.
Oh my God.
And so this thing just knocked over on the inside of it, and the remote that, like, normally I just lay on the top up there, it fell all the way down. What?
Can the remote try to control the bees with the remote?
I mean, all I heard was, and then I was like, oh my God, I think they're in there. I'm going to have to deal with that later. That is a major problem.
Hopefully they're able to hold on for 23 minutes, because I'm not stopping the show if you get stung by bees. We're sure as shit not cutting off the camera. It'd be good content. I don't want to see that happen to you unless it leads to more views. So, I mean, hopefully they're able to hold off there. That's no good though. You gotta get the bee spray
out of my business.
It's always something. These houses, they're big problems. So anyway, Melissa, here's the reason why I think you want to lower your exposure to PJ Washington. You could use the exposure caps. I'd say cap it at like 50%. Here's the reason why, though. It's not because that you should feel, because I don't have an issue, even across 150 lineups, I don't have an issue if I get 100% of an individual player. Here's why you don't want that to be PJ Washington tonight, though. There's a lot of potential value that's going to open up later, and he locks in the first game of the slate. So use the exposures cap and set it to like 50% as a max exposure to PJ Washington, just to give yourself more flexibility for later on in the night. That's the reason I think you should be limiting it there. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, these are the kind of things that happen when you play two sites on a live before lock.
It does always happen. I told you at the top of the show, weird shit happens.
You did this to me. You have now like ruined my life with a new bit. You have now brought bees through an air conditioner. Yes, I am allergic to them, which is why I have a terrified look on my face. There's one in here that just keeps buzzing around, but it is what it is.
I'll tell you what's going to make it better.
I have a long sleeve on. That's a good thing. Go ahead.
That's true. Extra protection. You know what's going to make it better, though, Eric?
Sleeper.
The nuke of the night. Jordan, play the animation. We're going to make Eric feel better because he can't get stung by bees on his penis if it gets blown off first. Let's see it. It's really the best solution. You never thought about becoming a eunuch to save yourself from bees?
No, I did not.
All right, well, now
my little birds, my little bees.
Eric, who is going to be the nuke of the night? Who's going to set your lineups apart and rocket you to the top of leaderboards?
So the Jamal Murray on DraftKings, I mean, we are getting him at 7,800 against Sacramento. And I keep staring at this because it's just one of those things where Jamal Murray averages, 31.5 minutes per game. He was on a minutes limit earlier in the season, but like, I just feel like his baseline isn't appropriately being like shown here. Like Jokic has gone completely insane ballistic the last few. Like there's no doubt about it, but like Jamal Murray now getting back home, getting to Denver here, getting the Sacramento bump. Like Davion Mitchell, like, oh, he's a good defender. Doesn't matter. Jamal Murray is really, really good here. So even if it is him, Davion Mitchell running out there, who's basically out there to play defense and do nothing in our lineups, even in the absence of De'Aaron Fox, if that comes to be, I will still like to get to him. I feel like point guard, we're getting to Goodwin. We're getting to some of these other like randos. Obviously, Doncic is a great spend up, but there's one mid-range option. I mean, he's $600 off of James Harden. James Harden is going to be so much more popular on this slate. So for me, for my bottom dollar here, 34.5 minutes is what we have him in for. He's the better fantasy producer on the season than James Harden. Not going to probably be in these circumstances, but like $600, that's doing a lot for me today and reducing some ownership. Jamal Murray, nuke of the night.
One good thing if you get stung by bees, considering your allergy, is that let's say your throat starts to close, you got that iced tea to soothe it. It all comes full circle. You're already well prepared for this sort of event.
This is my least favorite show ever.
And I could not be enjoying it any more than
I noticed.
currently am.
And you're probably going to win 100K and just fucking I'm Greg.
I feel like I used to be meaner to you. I'm very nice now.
This is nice. This is what you call nice?
Yeah, I was telling you how you can make your throat feel better for a lot of the show. It's for your own health. It's for your own health.
Why are you the way that you are?
Let's see. Which one do I want to go to for my exotic? Oh no, this is the nuke play. For the nuke of the night, I am going to go with, boy, there's so many ways that I could go. I'm actually going to have De'Aaron Fox here for now, because De'Aaron Fox is somebody who, based on current projections, I actually am overweight to him just slightly. It's going to give me extra flexibility in the event that he does get ruled out as well. I know we already have a lot of it because of the Clippers exposure we're going to have. But another point, too, about De'Aaron Fox, I don't think anybody's going to play this guy. If we do find out that he's available to play, 10, 15, 30 minutes or whatever it ends up being before the game starts, I think we're going to have a super, super low-owned guy to get to here in De'Aaron Fox. And for the longest time, De'Aaron Fox was in a real down spell where he was really struggling. He was not knocking down his threes. His three-point attempts were also way up, but we've seen much better play out of De'Aaron Fox as of late. It seems to have given him more confidence, which it might seem like that's kind of narrative-based, but here's why it isn't entirely and why there's data we could put to it. As Fox has started to play better, his usage has been incredibly high as of late. So De'Aaron Fox now has 5 games in a row, Eric, with 50 or more fantasy points. But what really stands out is his usage rate is well over 30% in those games. So De'Aaron Fox, who is playing better, maybe the shoulder issue, which was also an issue from earlier in the year, maybe the All-Star break helped his shoulder. I don't think that's all that crazy to think, and that's one of the reasons he's playing better as well. It's going to be De'Aaron Fox as a nuke of the night. Were you expecting me to go there?
No, but I like it very much. Pretty much.
There we go.
I mean, be by your computer. It's going to be very important today.
Eric will be. Eric will be. Let's see what else we have.
Probably inside.
Yeah, I think actually as soon as the show ends, Eric is going to sprint out of there. 17
I will
minutes.
be gone.
17 minutes. It's an actual life or death situation.
Yeah, it's not good.
17 minutes till we get to lock with first.
And it's hot in here now because no air conditioning. I'm boiling. There's a bee on the loose, and there may or may not be a hive inside of that air conditioner, which is terrifying.
Only time will tell. If Eric doesn't show up on any content tomorrow, assume the worst, everybody. Living in a Ford is asking us a Trey Man or Dinwiddie he's Tree Man. Tree Man or Dinwiddie, neither are spelled even remotely close to correct. Tree Man or Dinwiddie, which way are you going?
So, I mean, it's funny because there is a Trey Man in the NBA, but, it is what it is. I know we're talking about Terrence, but yeah, it'd be Terrence Mann by a lot.
Yeah, that is going to be Terrence / Tree. We should just start calling him Tree Man. I think that's not a bad nickname for him.
Yeah.
Kyle Hodgkin says with Lively, with Kleba ruled out, and then also our appearance on T-Man, I assume that he is also asking us about Tree Man. Yeah, so Terrence Mann, one of the better value options we have on the slate, considering the players that the Clippers are without and the players who are on the injury report. As far as Derek Lively goes, let me see, I'm not really getting to Derek Lively. There's so many big men to consider on the slate, and Andre Drummond is such a strong option that he takes up a lot of my center exposure.
it is like next to impossible for me to even remotely contemplate Lively and Gafford, especially when you're probably looking at 8 to 10 minutes of PJ Washington playing the 5 when Olynyk is out there. There's way too much risk in putting a center position at 4,400 or 5,100 in play when you know that you're getting a guy in Zubats or the 2 Clippers guys later in the evening, that you're using a center spot, a coveted center spot, not on Andre Drummond and that potential smash. Like, I will react to what that box score ends up being if Lively goes off, but my God, there's just no way that I'm going to roster him today.
And let's see what else we have in here. Oh, yeah, lots of super chats, lots of questions. First, the news god says he's got to use it before he loses it. Good luck tonight. We got thank you very much, News God, for the super chat there. Then Jorge is asking us, if you had to choose one, would it be Jokic or Luka, and why? Yes, pretty simple. Luka because of positionality. Correct. When it comes to the center spot, there are so many good center options. Kind of ties into the question we just got before. Yep. And it's so much easier to spend up for Luka, considering he's the point guard eligibility, the guard eligibility, and the utility spot. And the biggest, most important part of the center position is I'm loading up on Andre Drummond. It limits the amount of availability that I have for Jokic lineups as compared to Luka lineups.
Look at that. Jordan Klein running a new sim over there for the people over on Playback. If you guys aren't on Playback, watching Jordan Klein just go to work, doing the Lord's work over there, creating a new pool, putting up new stuff. People can say DraftKings FanDuel. You're basically, Jordan Klein's like the puppet master over on Playback. If you guys aren't over there watching right now, I don't know what the hell else you're doing. Jordan Klein also loved being called the puppet master way too much just now.
Did he now?
He did like his patent.
Try pointing your controller at him and see if it works.
It's like if Greg watched me get stung by a bee.
No. Because it would not be giggling. It would be like an elevated state of elation. Giggling wouldn't really start to cover it. But oh my God.
That become the new throat goat honey inspired play of the day.
There it is. Thomas Ryan's left us a super chat. Our favorite plays on DraftKings at each position. And then he says, thank you. So let's start with point guard. And I just ran a fresh sim for myself. At point guard, I'm getting to most of James Harden on DraftKings.
I thought it was Jordan Goodwin a second ago. I'm waiting for my stuff to finish up. I'm doing one more run for DraftKings right now. I will tell you in 2 seconds. Nope, it's going to be longer than the 2 seconds. It is James Harden. I'm with you.
Okay, and then if we go ahead and look at the shooting guard position. See, so over.
I'm a liar. It's Jamal Murray. I'm a liar. It's Jamal Murray.
Shooting guard is Norman Powell
by a mile. Yeah, I've almost like 90%. That's cool.
Small forward. At small forward for me, that is also going to be Norman Powell, but second most Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard.
Power forward for me on DraftKings. Kawhi also is power forward eligibility. It is very spread out for me past Kawhi. So Kawhi, who's just a core staple play for me. My next most rostered power forward is Aaron Gordon in 17% of my lineup. So I'm fairly spread out at power forward behind Kawhi Leonard.
But I will say, have a Karl Anthony Towns plan in place. Just have it in place here.
Center for me, Andre Drummond.
Andre Drummond by a lot.
All right, so there we have it. Our favorite plays at each position. Thank you for the super chat. Thomas Ryan. And then Sean is asking us favorite plays at a DK per position. So unfortunately, we got the same super chat twice in a row. So how about this? Let's go with, Eric, our favorite contrarian plays that we like at each position. And however it is that you want to define contrarian, because
there's a lot of ways to do it today.
20% owned, but you're just like, he should be way higher owned because there might not be one guy at each individual position. So I
think the best way of calling it today is like the have a plan play of the day at each position. Like you should really like getting to some very weird things right now in some lineups, or at least having a plan in place on how to get to those things. And so it's almost like a have on your radar play of the day.
We could do however we want to. So
right, I mean, point guard's probably Luka, just because everything that you talked about. Yesterday I was well over on Luka. I felt really good about my lineups considering, how much we talked about Luka, wrote him up as like one of the three you can't live without in the early window of the games in the article yesterday. And just overall, I feel the same way about him today. Like, you just don't want to leave the early window without Luka. I think more people will do it today based on what we just saw yesterday, unfortunately, but like, there's no doubt it's the right way to do it.
Yeah, so point guard, I'll go De'Aaron Fox because I like De'Aaron Fox and Luka. So just another one to differentiate from you, but also really do like Luka quite a bit. Shooting guard, what are you looking at for shooting guard?
Yeah, so this is probably the weirdest one for me, Malik Monk, because this is dependent upon De'Aaron Fox. A lot of people are going to immediately flock to go get Davion Mitchell, but I've got a pretty strong Malik Monk plan in place where it's like, I do think Malik Monk is, even without him starting, he's probably the guy who is in that closing lineup. I was going through a bunch of the box scores without De'Aaron Fox. Monk closed a lot of those spots. I would be ramping his minutes up from, the 26.5, and that's always like straddling the middle, because Monk, if he does close, it always seems like even with Fox in that he can end up on either end. But like, I really love the shooting guard small forward, and it allows for me to not play like 100% Norman Powell today.
Yeah, I am. Boy, Monk's a really good one. I don't have a better choice at shooting guard, so I'm going to copy you and say the same thing, Eric. I like Malik
Sounds
Monk
like
here. He already looks fine as is. If you run lineups through our sims without making any kind of adjustments, you're going to get overweight to Malik Monk. So, I mean, it certainly makes sense to also consider the other angle where it's, hey, if De'Aaron Fox is out, Malik Monk is the biggest benefactor on the entire team. So I think that makes a whole lot of sense there. Small forward. Let's see. Who am I going to go with? I'll
let you go first so that you don't copy me immediately, because I love my small forward one.
Okay. So if you already love your small forward one, I'm going to go with Scotty Barnes here.
Well, as soon as I say that, he's ruled in. Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert ruled in. I was going to throw out my guy, Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 4K, but that is not obviously a thing because the news just came in. Gobert and Edwards as soon as I was about to say it, but whatever. On the fly, I'll just copy you, whoever you just said.
I went with, copying my lineups and making sure I have them all uploaded.
Now I got to fly a little bit because this is going to get really
So at
disturbing.
small forward, I went with Scotty Barnes.
Scotty Barnes, okay. I'm with you.
Forward,
I like that.
Do you have one for power forward?
I do.
This is a really shitty position. It is hard for me to really strongly advocate for anybody here. The only player I have in more than 20% of my lineups at power forward is Kawhi Leonard. So I'm going to have to pass here. I just don't have one.
Zion Williamson. We're playing the Pacers. He's 8,300. He's been playing basically point guard for even with CJ McCollum in. So like Zion at 12%, Yahtzee.
And then at center, he's not unpopular in ownership projections, even because Zubats. I'm skeptical he's going to be as popular as he is because he's holding the Q tag, though.
Okay, that's fair. Daniel Tice.
Yeah, and then also very easy to go from Zubats to Tyson, upgrade other positions in the event that we do see that Zubats is ruled out for today. So there's some contrarian plays. Thank you for the super chat, Sean. And then we've got a question from Mod Dub T. Thoughts on Anthony Edwards tonight now that he is confirmed in? You getting your guy Ant Edwards?
Not really. Yesterday was incredible. He salvaged. I mean, I know the Kyle Anderson injury hurt me, a lot of people, but like Anthony Edwards is such a goat for what he did. I'm pretty positive as I rerun stuff here right now because I gave a little bit of a bump to Naz Reid, a little bit of a bump to Nickeil Alexander-Walker just to have that at lock. And now I'm just taking away everything here quick on two different sites with a B in my room. So this is fun. We're fine. Everything's fine.
Let me see. Oh, I already answered mine at center. I went with, so answer that. And then I'm the same as you, by the way. Anthony Edwards, I don't really have much exposure to me. There are other players that I prefer spending up for.
So many spent up options today as opposed to yesterday. So like all the DeJounte Murray and the Anthony Edwards is just getting up to the top.
All right, let's start going a little bit
faster. Go.
On answering questions because a bunch of them are coming in. Deuce Trey, favorite FanDuel plays position by position. Do you have FanDuel lineups updated there? We've already done this question a couple of times today. So I'll do a quick run through of lineups that are just updated here, unless you have anything else to add.
Nope.
But Jordan Goodwin at point guard,
Same.
Norman Powell at shooting guard, Kawhi Leonard, or no, Brandon Ingram at small forward. So I go with Kawhi Leonard at power forward and center Andre Drummond.
Naz Reid is off the table now, right? Yes, Nicholas Barrett.
Patrick Rose, Terrence Mann, or Gary Trent for FanDuel. Terrence Mann for two reasons, but most notably that if all else was the same for these guys, I would go with Terrence Mann because he starts later, and also he's our new guy, Tree Man. Man or Trent?
It is definitely Terrence Mann by it's not even close. Not even close.
Jake Lindland, FanDuel, Luka. Funny, we didn't get like any FanDuel questions. Now a bunch of them in a row. Jake Lindland, FanDuel question. Luka and $6,200 for shooting guard or Harden and Kyrie. Let me look at who's available at $6,200 at shooting guard really quick. Because
so nice
that will make it easier for me to answer. Are there good options for $6,200 at shooting guard? Desumu's not a bad option. Yeah, I'm going to say Luka and Desumu. Luka and Desumu you can get in there.
Love you.
Gigi Jackson or Powell? Norman Powell over Gigi Jackson.
By a lot.
Now let's go into your guys' Discord questions. And then the show might be ending in 4 minutes on YouTube, but Josh Engleman is going to be joining me over on Playback in a few minutes. We've got some fun stuff prepared over there for a game we're going to play tonight. And then, of course, we're going to be sweating the games. And anything that happens as far as late breaking news for Late Swap, which is very live to happen tonight, Josh and I are going to be breaking it down over on Playback. So stick around, watch the post-lock show over on Playback as soon as this locks. But Bucko Boy 813, what sim contest archetype are you using? This is specific to whatever contest you're playing in. So I'm playing in both the $4 and the $15 over on DraftKings for the 150 max tournaments. And I enter the marquee setting because those are the marquee tournaments for tonight. So it depends which ones you're in, Bucko Boy. If you have other questions for me on how to use that archetype setting, message me on Discord and I'll help walk you through it later. But it's not like a one-size-fits-all answer for everybody. Just Locks, favorite contrarian play for FanDuel single entry? Yes. Let's see. Sort by... You know, I'm actually going to go with somebody who I think Eric's probably going to answer here. Daniel Tice.
Love it.
Richie says, can we ask Eric who is his make bees fall out of your air conditioner play of the night?
Jamal Murray. He's just going to be the default answer.
Andre Drummond for me.
There you go.
How much Daniel Tice are you playing on FanDuel right now? EMAC wants to know.
Nearly 100%.
Rico Rod wants to know, are there any must plays for FanDuel in the early games? Let's see. Must plays for FanDuel from the early games. So Brandon Ingram is somebody who's underrepresented. I really like getting to. PJ Washington is a really strong option as well. Those are your two best ones from the first game on the slate. PJ Washington and Brandon Ingram, at least as far as FanDuel is concerned. Luka, still a good play on FanDuel for sure, but he's higher priority on DraftKings where there's more positional flexibility. Flying Filipino wants to know, are there any players that we're getting too heavily from the Pelicans?
Zion Williamson.
Nothing
not heavily,
like
14%.
So I like Brandon Ingram. There's nobody from the DraftKings side of things that I'm like jamming from the Pelicans. FanDuel Ingram for sure. So we got a super chat from Cornell Granville, but there is no question attached. Oh, here we go. Where do I go to find Playback? Jordan, drop him the link in YouTube so that he could find it. Hef Love, does Mathurin come back to earth today? Well, he can't do better or the same as what he did last game. That's probably the best game he'll have the entire season.
Yep, probably.
Fargo wants to know Olynyk or Naz Reid. Honestly, probably neither tonight.
Neither.
Next question is from Treft W1124. He wants to know Bruce Brown or Grady Dick. Eric, is this going to be a Dick night for you?
I don't like you.
It didn't have to be. No, Grady Dick. It didn't have to be.
I don't like you.
All right. I don't know who it is that you need to soothe your throat from or anything over there, but let's see. Bruce Brown or Grady Dick. Honestly, another question where the answer is going to be neither. If if you absolutely have to play one of them, I'll say there's a little bit more upside maybe in Grady Dick, but This is not a slate where you need to get Brown or Dick exposure.
Wow. Just sometimes you are just an artist.
Next question we have, it is actually not a question. It is Chris Williams, who left us 5 YouTube memberships. Chris, thank you very much for your support. We always do appreciate you. And looks like people are starting to pile into the playback channel, seeing that those numbers are starting to go up. So yeah, Jordan will be dropping that link in so you guys could find us. But about 30 seconds to go until lock here. Eric, do you have your lineups all set and ready to go?
I don't know how, but yes, I did.
Nice. All right. That's always good. That's not something that always happens when you play on both sites.
Nope. It felt good. It felt really, really good.
Yeah, mine are all set and ready to go as well. I'll do one
zero exposure on FanDuel to the first 2 games. I said I'm just doing it completely backloaded on FanDuel. Going to be epic.
Are you liking your lineup really quick? I'll ask you this, and then we're going to end this and go over to playback. You more excited for your lineups over on FanDuel or DraftKings tonight? Which side is it going to go better on?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't played FanDuel. I've played like all lineup or like 20 lineups on FanDuel. I haven't played 150 on FanDuel in probably, I don't know, at least this entire NBA season. I haven't played like fully on both sites, but this one, it was too hard to pass up what could potentially be one of the better late swapping opportunities today. Played both sites. I'm probably more excited for FanDuel of what could be, because if news breaks a certain way, I'm just positive I'm going to have massive leverage over there. Whereas DK, a little bit harder because of the positionality, just 8 lineup spots, things like that. But 9 lineup spots with that Daniel Tice piece. Just pay attention to news, friends.
All right, so let's head on over to playback where Josh was waiting for us, but looks like he just got out to use the little boys
Eric's
room
still talking.
So let's close out of the YouTube show, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have not done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube show. You want to sign up for any stochastic package, sign up using the link below in the YouTube channel. That is going to get you access to all the tools and data we have at stochastic.com, including our Discord channel. And if you guys do have questions for me in Discord, keep asking them throughout the night. I'm going to be keeping an eye on them, even as Josh and I are over on playback. So guys, thank you very much for watching. And join us over on playback. See you there in a second. Peace out.